It's a Tuesday evening, and you're on the couch with your dog curled up beside you. He leans in for a kiss, the way he always does, and you turn your head just slightly. Not because you don't love him, not because you don't want that closeness, but because his breath stops you in your tracks. And for a second, just a flicker of a second, you wonder if that's normal. You tell yourself it's just dog breath. Every dog has it, right? But somewhere in the back of your mind, a quieter thought creeps in. What if that smell is trying to tell you something? If you've ever pulled back from a kiss, or hesitated before letting your dog get close to your face, you're not alone. Millions of dog owners across the country experience this exact moment, often more than once a week, and most of them brush it off the same way you probably have. They assume it's just something dogs deal with. They assume there's nothing to be done about it beyond an occasional dental chew or a trip to the vet once a year for a cleaning. But here's the truth that almost nobody talks about. That smell isn't just breath. In most cases, it's the smell of a problem that's been quietly building in your dog's mouth for months, sometimes years, completely unnoticed. And what's wild is that the fix, the real fix, the one that actually addresses what's happening underneath that smell, isn't some expensive procedure or complicated regimen. It's something so simple that most owners walk right past it every single day without realizing what's sitting right in front of them. 99% of dog owners have no idea this trick exists, and by the end of this video, you're going to understand not just what it is, but why it works, and how something this small can protect your dog's health in ways that go far beyond fresh breath. Let's start with what's actually happening inside your dog's mouth, because understanding the problem is the only way to appreciate why the solution matters so much. Every single day, a thin, almost invisible film forms on your dog's teeth. It's called plaque, and it's made up of bacteria, saliva, and tiny particles of food that cling to the tooth surface. This isn't unique to dogs. Humans deal with the exact same buildup, which is why we're told to brush twice a day. But here's where things diverge in a big way. Most dogs never get their teeth brushed. Not once. Not ever. And when plaque isn't removed, it doesn't just sit there quietly. It hardens. Within as little as 36 to 72 hours, that soft, removable plaque begins mineralizing into tartar, a hard, cement-like substance that bonds directly to the tooth. Once tartar forms, brushing alone can't remove it. It has to be physically scraped off, either by a professional dental cleaning or, in more severe cases, addressed through veterinary intervention. Now here's the part that catches most owners completely off guard. Tartar isn't just a cosmetic issue. It's not just about a dog having yellow or brown teeth. Tartar creates a rough, porous surface that traps even more bacteria, and it starts pushing beneath the gum line. Once bacteria gets under the gum, it triggers inflammation. That inflammation has a name, gingivitis. And gingivitis, if left unaddressed, doesn't stay contained to the mouth. It can progress into periodontal disease, which affects the bone and tissue that hold the teeth in place. According to veterinary dental studies, by the time most dogs reach the age of 3, a striking number of them already show some signs of periodontal disease. 3 years old. Think about that for a moment. That's not an old dog. That's a dog still in what most owners would consider the prime of life, and the damage may already be underway. But it doesn't stop there, and this is the part that genuinely surprises people. The mouth isn't an isolated system. It's connected to the rest of the body through the bloodstream. When gum tissue becomes inflamed and infected, bacteria can enter the bloodstream through those damaged tissues. Once in the bloodstream, that bacteria can travel to major organs, including the heart, liver, and kidneys. Veterinary researchers have found associations between advanced periodontal disease and increased strain on these organs over time. This doesn't mean every dog with tartar buildup will develop heart or kidney problems, but it does mean that what looks like a simple cosmetic issue, a little yellow film on the teeth, can quietly become a systemic health concern if it's ignored long enough. Take a moment and think about your own dog. Have you ever actually lifted his lip and looked closely at his back teeth, the molars toward the rear of the mouth? Most owners haven't. Not really. We look at the front teeth when our dog smiles or pants, but the back molars, where tartar tends to build up fastest, often go unchecked for months or even years. And because dogs are incredibly good at masking discomfort, a survival instinct passed down from their wild ancestors, they rarely show obvious signs of pain even when their gums are inflamed or a tooth is becoming unstable. A dog with a sore mouth will often keep eating, keep playing, keep wagging his tail, because showing weakness isn't something built into his instincts. This is exactly why so many owners are blindsided when a vet points out significant dental disease during a routine visit. The dog never acted like anything was wrong. So if brushing regularly is the gold standard, and if most owners simply aren't doing it, and if the consequences of neglect can be so much more serious than bad breath, where does that leave us? This is where the simple trick comes in, and it's not what most people expect. Before we get there, let's talk about some of the biggest misconceptions floating around, because misinformation is part of why this problem persists in so many households. The first myth is that hard kibble alone keeps a dog's teeth clean. This idea has been repeated so often that it's become accepted as fact in many households, but it's simply not accurate for most dogs. While the crunching action of kibble can provide provide some minor abrasive effect. Most dogs don't chew their food long enough for it to make a meaningful difference. Many dogs barely chew at all, swallowing kibble in large pieces after just 1 or 2 bites. The idea that dry food is a substitute for dental care is one of the most persistent and misleading beliefs among pet owners. The second myth is that dental chews are enough on their own. Dental chews can help reduce plaque to some degree, especially products that have undergone testing and carry the Veterinary Oral Health Council seal of acceptance. But chews work primarily through mechanical abrasion as the dog gnaws, and many dogs don't chew long enough or thoroughly enough in the right areas of the mouth to get real benefit. Chews are a helpful supplement, not a replacement for a more consistent approach. The third myth, and this one might be the most damaging, is that bad breath is simply normal for dogs and nothing to worry about. Mild dog breath, sure, that's expected. But a strong, persistent, unpleasant odor is often one of the earliest warning signs of bacterial buildup and early gum disease. It's the body's way of raising a small flag before things get more serious. Dismissing it as just dog breath means missing an opportunity to catch a problem while it's still easy to manage. Now let's talk about what actually works, starting with the simple trick that so few owners know how to use correctly. The trick isn't a product. It isn't a supplement you need to buy. It's a technique, and it centers around one specific habit: gently brushing your dog's teeth using a soft bristled brush and enzymatic toothpaste made specifically for dogs, focused primarily on the outer surfaces of the teeth, especially the back molars, done consistently, even just a few times a week. What makes this the trick almost nobody uses correctly isn't the brushing itself, because most people have heard that brushing a dog's teeth is a good idea. The real secret is in how it's introduced and how it's done, because the way most owners attempt it is exactly why it fails and why they give up within the first week. Here's what typically happens. An owner buys a dog toothbrush and toothpaste, gets excited, and immediately tries to brush their dog's entire mouth for a full 2 minutes on the very first attempt. The dog, who has never experienced this sensation before, panics. He squirms, he pulls away, maybe he even nips or growls out of fear and confusion. The owner gets frustrated, assumes their dog simply hates having his teeth brushed, and gives up entirely. The toothbrush ends up in a drawer, unused, and the dog goes right back to accumulating plaque with no intervention at all. The real trick, the one that actually works, is starting incredibly small and building trust before technique ever comes into play. On day 1, you're not even brushing. You're simply touching your dog's lips gently with your finger for a few seconds, then offering a small reward. That's it. The goal isn't cleaning anything yet. The goal is teaching your dog that having his mouth touched leads to something positive rather than something threatening. On day 2 or 3, once he's comfortable with that, you move to gently lifting the lip and touching a tooth or two with your finger, again followed immediately by praise or a small treat. Only after several days of this gradual, low-pressure introduction do you bring in a dog-safe enzymatic toothpaste, letting him lick a small amount off your finger first so the taste becomes familiar and enjoyable rather than foreign and alarming. Most dog toothpastes are flavored like poultry or beef specifically because manufacturers understand this step matters. It's not about minty freshness like it is for us. It's about making the entire experience feel rewarding from the dog's perspective. Once your dog is comfortable with the taste and with having his mouth handled, you introduce the actual brush, again starting small, just a few teeth at a time, focusing on the outer surfaces where plaque accumulates fastest, using small circular motions rather than aggressive back and forth scrubbing. The inner surfaces of the teeth, the ones facing the tongue, actually accumulate significantly less plaque in most dogs because the tongue's natural movement helps keep that area cleaner. This means you don't need to wrestle with getting the brush inside your dog's mouth at an awkward angle. Focusing primarily on the outer surfaces where the cheek and lips are, makes the entire process faster, easier, and far less stressful for both of you. This is the piece almost nobody understands, and it's why the trick feels like a revelation once you actually try it. You don't need to force your dog's mouth open. You don't need a full 2-minute brushing session like a human dental routine. You simply lift the lip on one side, brush the outer surfaces of the back teeth in small gentle circles for a few seconds, move to the front and the other side, and you're done. The entire process can take under a minute once your dog is used to it, and because it's brief and positive, most dogs eventually come to tolerate it well. Some even seem to enjoy the routine and the attention that comes with it. Now, let's talk about frequency, because this matters just as much as technique. Veterinary dental experts generally agree that daily brushing provides the most benefit since it interrupts plaque before it has the chance to harden into tartar within that 36 to 72 hour window we talked about earlier. But here's something important for owners who feel overwhelmed by the idea of a daily routine. Even brushing just a few times a week has been shown to meaningfully reduce plaque and tartar buildup compared to no brushing at all. This isn't an all-or situation. Something is genuinely, measurably better than nothing, and starting with 2 or 3 sessions a week is a completely reasonable and effective goal for a busy household. Let's pause here for a moment because I want you to really sit with something. nothing. Think about how much time and money we spend on our dogs. The toys, the treats, the grooming appointments, the vet visits, the food we research for hours trying to find the healthiest option. And yet this one habit, something that costs almost nothing and takes less than a minute a day once established, is the one thing most owners overlook entirely. It's not glamorous. It's not something you see advertised constantly. But it might be one of the most protective things you can do for your dog's long-term health and comfort. Now, brushing is the foundation, the core of what actually works, but there are supporting habits that can enhance the results, and understanding why they help matters just as much as knowing what they are. Water additives designed specifically for dental health can help reduce bacteria in the mouth when used consistently. These products are added directly to your dog's drinking water and work throughout the day as he drinks normally. They're not a replacement for brushing, but they can provide an additional layer of support, especially for dogs who are extremely resistant to brushing or for households where daily brushing simply isn't realistic. Certain raw or specially textured chews can provide mechanical abrasion that helps scrape away soft plaque before it hardens. It's important to choose appropriately sized, vet-recommended options because chews that are too hard can actually damage teeth, sometimes causing fractures, particularly in aggressive chewers. This is a case where more isn't always better, and choosing safety over intensity matters. Regular veterinary dental checkups, ideally at least once a year, allow a professional to catch problems developing beneath the surface, in places you simply can't see or reach with home care alone. Even the most diligent home routine can't replace a professional evaluation because a vet can assess what's happening below the gum line, something no amount of brushing at home can fully address. Think of home care and professional care as two halves of the same protective system, not competing approaches. Diet also plays a supporting role. Some prescription dental diets are specifically formulated with kibble shapes and textures designed to maximize the mechanical cleaning effect as your dog chews. These aren't magic solutions, but for dogs who struggle with brushing, they can offer measurable additional benefit when combined with other habits. I want to address something else here because I think it's important and it's something a lot of pet owners feel guilty about. If you're watching this and realizing your dog already has visible tartar, maybe some redness along the gum line, maybe that persistent bad breath we talked about earlier, please don't spiral into guilt. You didn't know. Almost nobody teaches this. It's not covered in the puppy pamphlets you get from the breeder or the shelter. It's not something most vets have time to explain in detail during a 15-minute wellness visit. The goal now isn't to dwell on what wasn't done before. The goal is simply to start today with where your dog is right now. If your dog already has visible tartar buildup, especially if there's redness, swelling, bleeding when you touch the gums, or if he's showing any signs of discomfort like pawing at his mouth, reduced interest in chewing, or reluctance to eat certain foods, this is a sign that a veterinary evaluation should come first before starting any home brushing routine. In cases of established periodontal disease, a professional cleaning under anesthesia may be necessary to remove hardened tartar and assess the health of the teeth and gums, sometimes including extractions if teeth have become too damaged. To save, home brushing after that point becomes a maintenance tool to protect the results of that professional care, not a replacement for it. This isn't meant to scare you. It's meant to help you understand that there's a right order to this process, and skipping the veterinary step when it's needed can mean missing something more serious that requires medical attention. Let's shift now and talk about what a simple, sustainable daily or near daily routine can actually look like in a real household, because I think sometimes these conversations stay too abstract, and what people really want is something they can picture themselves doing tonight or tomorrow morning. Picture this. It's after your dog's evening walk when he's relaxed and a little tired, which tends to be the easiest time for most dogs to sit still for a new activity. You sit on the floor with him or have him hop up next to you on the couch if that's more comfortable for both of you. You gently lift his lip, just like you've practiced, and in small circular motions, you brush the outer surfaces of his back molars first, since that's typically where the most buildup occurs. You move forward along the row of teeth, then switch to the other side. The whole thing takes less than a minute. You finish, and immediately, he gets a small treat or a few seconds of enthusiastic praise, whichever motivates him most. That's the entire routine. No wrestling, no stress, just a small, consistent act of care folded naturally into a moment you already share together. Over weeks, this becomes just another part of the routine, no different than getting his leash for a walk or filling his water bowl. And here's the thing that makes this so powerful. Consistency compounds. A single brushing session won't undo months of buildup, but a habit repeated 3, 4, 5 times a week, month after month, fundamentally changes the trajectory of your dog's oral health. It's the difference between a dog who needs increasingly aggro dental interventions every year and a dog whose mouth stays genuinely healthy well into his senior years, sometimes avoiding major dental procedures altogether. I also want to gently address the dogs who resist this no matter how gradually you introduce it, because not every dog responds to gentle behavioral shaping right away, and if that's your situation, please don't feel like you failed. Some dogs have had negative experiences in the past, whether from a rough grooming appointment, a painful dental issue that was never diagnosed, or simply an especially anxious temperament. For these dogs, patience matters even even more. It might take weeks, not days, to get to the point of actual brushing. In the meantime, water additives, appropriate dental chews, and more frequent veterinary monitoring can serve as bridges while you continue working slowly and gently toward a brushing routine your dog can tolerate. And if resistance is extreme or accompanied by signs of pain, that's valuable information too. It may mean there's an underlying dental issue causing the resistance in the first place, which is exactly the kind of thing worth bringing up with your veterinarian. Let's talk for a moment about the emotional side of this, because I don't think it gets discussed nearly enough. There's something deeply tender about the fact that our dogs can't tell us when something hurts. They can't say, "My gums are sore," or "This tooth has been bothering me for weeks." They rely entirely on us to notice, to pay attention, to care enough to look a little closer. And in a strange way, something as small as brushing your dog's teeth becomes an act of translation. You're paying attention to a part of his body he can't advocate for himself. You're noticing what he can't tell you. That's not a small thing. That's love, expressed in a form that has nothing to do with grand gestures and everything to do with quiet, consistent attention. Think back to that moment on the couch, the one we started with. Your dog leaning in for a kiss and you pulling back just slightly because of his breath. Imagine, instead, a version of that same moment months from now where you don't have to pull away, where that little hesitation simply isn't there anymore, because you took the time to build a habit that protects him in a way he'll never fully understand but will absolutely benefit from every single day of his life. Because here's the truth underneath all of this. Dental health isn't just about fresh breath or a wider smile. It's about comfort. It's about preventing pain your dog can't tell you he's feeling. It's about protecting organs like the heart and kidneys from the downstream effects of chronic bacterial exposure. It's about adding potentially meaningful years of comfort and vitality to his life, one small, unglamorous habit at a time. And it's about something even simpler than all of that. It's about really seeing your dog, all of him, including the parts that are easy to overlook. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Plaque forms every single day, and within just a couple of days, it can harden into tartar that brushing alone can no longer remove. Most owners have no consistent system for interrupting that process, and by the time visible symptoms show up, the damage has often been building quietly for a long time. The simple trick isn't some miracle product or expensive treatment. It's a patient, gradual approach to brushing, one that starts with trust building rather than technique, focuses on the outer surfaces of the teeth where buildup happens fastest, and gets folded into your existing routine in a way that feels natural rather than forced. Combined with appropriate chews, dental support, water additives when needed, and regular veterinary checkups, this simple habit can make a genuine, lasting difference in your dog's comfort and long-term health. If there's one thing I hope you do after watching this, it's this: tonight or tomorrow, take 30 seconds, just 30 seconds. Gently lift your dog's lip and take a real look at his teeth and gums. Not a glance, a real look. See what's actually there. Because awareness is always the first step, and you can't address what you haven't noticed. Whatever you find, whether it's teeth that look great or a little more buildup than you expected, you'll know more than you did 5 minutes ago, and that knowledge is the beginning of protecting him in a way that matters. If this video helped you see your dog's dental health in a new light, do me a favor and hit that like button. It genuinely helps this kind of information reach more pet owners who need it, and it tells me you'd like to see more videos like this one. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing, because we're going to keep exploring the small, overlooked habits that make a real difference in the lives of the dogs and cats we love so much. Before you go, I'd love to know something from you. Have you ever tried brushing your dog's teeth, and how did it go? Was it smooth from the start, or did it take some patience and trial and error to get there? Drop a comment and share your experience, because someone else watching this right now, someone who's hesitant to even try, might just need to hear that it worked for you too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.